This isn't just a casual legend. It is the official belief. It's in the constitution of Ethiopia. The Ethiopians' claim to the Queen of Sheba is detailed in the famous epic Kebra Nagast, the Glory of Kings. And it's based on a visit described in the Bible, but adds that the queen bore a son, Menelik the first, if you will, to King Solomon. That's what's added to this epic. And this epic is a 13th century, they traced it that far back, AD we're talking. So when Menelik was grown, presumably, he visited his father, Solomon, who anointed him to rule Africa and sent the sons of his own counselors to assist Menelik as king. That's the concept, that's the story. And the young men were reluctant to leave the famous temple in Jerusalem, especially as it contained the Ark of the Covenant. So the legend is that they secretly removed the Ark of the Covenant and left a replica. And they took it with them to Ethiopia. And that's the legend, the Ethiopian legend. It is an official view inculcated in the history of Ethiopia. It is quickly disprovable from the Bible. So you have most people who have encountered this legend. Graham Hancock wrote a book, The Sign and the Seal, and Grant Jeffries has written some stuff about it. Bob Cornuke and I, Bob has really gotten into this. Bob and I have visited Ethiopia on several occasions. And so when you do that, you encounter this view of the Ethiopians. For centuries, the Ethiopian tradition has maintained, and it is still preserved and guarded in the compound, that the ark is guarded, still there, guarded in the compound. Now, the Ethiopian legend was compiled and recorded in writing during the 13th century, but its origin is difficult to determine. And from the restoration of the Solomonic dynasty from the restoration to around 1270 until the death of the last emperor, Haile Selassie, the emperors of Ethiopia have claimed descent from Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. Now, on the one hand, that's what the Ethiopians cling to, because those early kings promoted this tale because it benefited them to be able to claim direct descent from Solomon. You follow me? Haile Selassie did, even as late as 1975. Because biblical scholars can tell that story can't be true, and I'll show you why, they dismiss the Ethiopian legend altogether. That's just their culture tradition. What virtually everyone, has overlooked is just because the legend isn't true doesn't mean they don't have the ark. It may have gotten down there by a different path, and that different path is in 2 Chronicles. It's in the text. It's tucked in there. It's subtle. You have to do some inferential reasoning, but it's quite surprising. So this isn't strong enough to be a doctrinal point to try to teach from, but I will tell you as candidly, we suspect, we don't know, we suspect they may really have the ark. They're just victims of a tale that was promoted for political reasons in their early history for local advantages. And that doesn't mean that the ark ain't there, because there's archaeological proof that it is. And we'll get through that. Haile Selassie was born in 1892. He died in 1975. He was the grandnephew of Emperor Menelik II. He was the last emperor of Ethiopia. He reigned from 1930 through about 1974 when he died. And the Solomonic claim was made part of the Constitution in 1955, obviously by Haile Selassie, who was running things at the time. But recognize it was their interest to promote this tale. It's widely regarded as non-biblical because the ark didn't disappear in Solomon's day or even after. We're going to go through a whole series of kings. You're going to get all the way down to Josiah. And when you get to Josiah, you're in 2 Chronicles chapter 35, the next to the last chapter in Chronicles. In the days of Josiah, he instructs the Levites to put the ark in the Holy of Holies. Where is it? Why is it? That's the whole thing we'll get into. But the point is the ark is around there, a couple of centuries after the story about Menelik having taken it from You follow me? So we'll deal with that. And furthermore, there's another aspect of this we'll talk about when we get there. Jeremiah 3:16 predicts that the ark will no longer be remembered or come to mind. The ark, according to Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 16, implies that the ark is a past. Don't look for it. It'll no longer be remembered nor come to mind. And I'm among those teachers who used to use that verse again and again to dispel the whole Ethiopian myth. People hear about it, get excited about it. We'd say, well, wait, look at Jeremiah 3:16. That says don't bother with that. We didn't read the verses that followed it, which changed the subject a little bit, but give us some insight. So we'll deal with that when we get to it later. We're going to talk about some very surprising conjectures about the Ark of the Covenant in a later session.